Oh, hello. How's it going? How's it going? Let me know if the volume levels are good. Hey, Cookie. I guess the extension thing's not working. Well, that's a shame. Don't know why it doesn't work. Ethan, hey, how's it going? So, Hachi, Bradfrey, how's it going, guys? So, first of all, we're going to be doing the attack animation for this dude. Second of all, I have a pretty messed up throat, so I'm going to try to power through it. But if everything's crap at the end, I might not do the part where I go over your designs. We can do that another time. But we'll see how my throat feels. And we'll see how I'm doing overall. So let's get right into it. So when we did the designs in part 1, we did do kind of a keyframe already. So we can definitely use this as kind of like a reference. So when I do my attacks, so first of all, attacks are my favorite all around. It's just making a few cool keyframes and connecting them. And I like them so much because they're different. Like idles and runs are often the same. William, hello William, how's it going? Idles and runs are often the same. You know, idle is basically the same motion up and down. Sometimes you can add like a wink, or if they do something, if it's an NPC they fiddle with something. But for the most part, idles are pretty boring and the same. Runs are pretty much the same, and if you're making a new run, it can be quite the headache. But attacks, on the other hand, are fun because they're completely different most of the time. And you can kind of just like go whatever direction you want. So to start, I'm gonna take the first frame of the idle frame and just move it over here. And we can change the color of these quickly. Go to the default. And then we'll add a tag and we'll say attack 1. Because I think we'll try to do a couple attacks. I think that's doable. We'll do a swipe, kind of like this, and then maybe we'll come back, and maybe we'll do something kind of like maybe a simple shoot. Well, again, we'll see how my throat is and everything, and we'll keep trucking. If it gets too bad, we can always split this up and push all the streams back a bit. I don't mind doing that. So yeah, I took the first frame of the idle. So we have the first frame. And I'm going to make a new layer here and just say ref as the reference. We'll take this dude, we'll copy it, and we'll paste him on the reference layer. Just because we could just take this one, but I want to make the keyframe with all its body parts separated. So if you've been following along the last few streams, we separated all the body parts. We have the gun and hands, the gobbler, the head, leg 1, body, leg 2, bag, flappy thing, and the background, which we can turn off right now. I have a nice tea with honey in it to hopefully get me through this. It actually helps so much, soothes your throat. But yeah, so first off, we we'll kind of mimic this pose here. So the head is a bit lower. The bag is roughly the same spot. The gun is pointing this way. And then you have the slash. So we can take the slash. And how I make these slashes, a quick way to make them, we're going to make a new layer called VFX. And a quick way to make them is use the ellipse tool, the filled one, and kind of make a circle like this. And then duplicate it, make it a different color, doesn't matter what color it is. And then you don't even have to make it a color. You can make it a bit smaller. Ellipse. Did I say eclipse? I basically mess up all the words in aspirate. So you make a smaller circle and then you can just leave it in, then click that and delete it, and you have kind of the swipe effect. So we can use whatever one we like better. You can do it a few times. These live streams are so informative. Thanks, Pen. Thank you, brother. So we can use whatever one we like. You can do it a few times, see what one you like best. I think I like this one up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that one from the example. I'm just going to use W, click, click, copy, and paste. And then we have it down here. And we can just turn it off for now. So we're going to toggle it off. Are you good to animate non-pixel art as well? Maybe. I haven't really tried. Drawing realistic stuff, I'm definitely not very good at. So if I were to animate, the things would be in a weird style. That's kind of what I do best, is kind of abstract looking creatures and stuff. So we have the VFX and we toggled it off. So now we're just gonna position everything. So let's move the head down with the gobbler. And it's a little bit over there. Again, we're just gonna mimic that. We're gonna jump to the gun. Then we're gonna flip it. And we're gonna keep it back here. And then the legs we can move apart. And I'm using the V tool. And if you just click V and click on the body part, you can move it around as long as you have everything separated. I'm going to turn off onion skin for now. And then we're going to go to the body layer. We're going to delete some of this side. And we'll add some to this side. Good way to track that is if you're deleting 5 from this side, add 5 to this side. Kind of keeps the volume consistent. Maybe we'll move the head one more down. Leg. Dip. One more over, and this leg, let's move the little bottom foot kind of like that, so it looks like he has more weight in it. And we'll jump back to the body layer and we'll move this pixel over. And we can move the bag a bit, and the flappy thing we can go ahead and just kind of delete it for now, because that's going to have a mind of its own at the end. It's kind of like a secondary. So this looks roughly the same as this up here. So we can go ahead and turn on our VFX and kind of, we're going to want it on the little knife at the end of the gun, and kind of just have it line up correctly so there's like a Nice little swoosh. So we can go ahead and delete the reference layer since we don't need it anymore. Give it a quick save. And now we can toggle our 2 keyframes. And looks great. I think as I go about animating an attack, I have a general idea what I wanted, which was this initial slash. And then I think I was gonna go back and have his backpack facing, but I think we're gonna come with an overhead swing. So the gun is pointing forward, it's gonna hit the ground with some heaviness, and then he pulls the trigger and blasts backwards or something. So 3 parts, which might drag on a bit, so we'll see how this goes, but we might split it up into 2 streams. But let's keep trucking. So we can go ahead and animate the in-betweens. That's not usually how I do it. Once I get a vision in my head, I kind of do keyframe by keyframe. So let's go ahead and do the next keyframe. So again, I'm gonna take this first idle frame and copy it to the end. So now it's a 3rd frame. I'll turn on the onion skin, and this is gonna be the overheads kind of slam. So he slashes horizontally, and he's gonna come vertically over his head and come down. So the gun's gonna be over here. His back foot might move up a bit, maybe 2. The body and front foot's gonna go up quite a bit. Again, we can delete the flappy thing, and the head's gonna be even further up, I think, with the gobbler. So perhaps everything shifts a bit over, and his backpack will be somewhere over here. Again, his body, we can trim some on this side like so, and then add it over here, which the gun is kind of blocking a bit of it. So now we can kind of toggle. These are rough kind of keyframes. So slash, and then he comes back over and slams. And one thing we could do, we could switch these feet around perhaps to switch things up. So have this gray one in the back, and then have the lighter white one up here. And we'll have to do some edits to his foot in general. I mean the body, kind of make the colors match a bit more. So let's jump to the body layer, and then we'll make this white kind of come into this leg over here, and then perhaps this back leg. Jump to the back layer, and we could shift his head a bit over, I think look good. So let's move this beak kind of over, have his eye shift, and of course the gobbler, and kind of fill in those parts there. And of course this is just rough, so if we don't like it, we can scrap this keyframe and start another one. Let's do the VFX as well. Same kind of thing. Use the ellipse tool, and this will be overhead. Oops. So let's do perhaps like this. and do a different color, do a kind of smaller one. And we'll move it in. We'll highlight it and delete it, and we can always move this a bit. Let's see if it lines up. I'm not crazy about this end piece. We might redo it, unless we can shape it ourselves. So let's see. Idle slash overhead. Idle slash overhead. And then he's gonna blast the gun back and kind of be back in the idle position. So we can add that quick one, but it's just gonna be maybe slightly adjusted. Delete that flappy thing again. So now, quick little keyframe, and then he'll go back into the idle pose. So idle, or starting pose, slash, there's going to be some anticipation, so he brings the gun up, slams, and then the gun will charge, blast back into position. So quite a bit of frames to go, but we have our main keyframes kind of figured out, which is a huge start. So let's see if we can kind of bring it all together. So the next step after you plan out your keyframes is doing in-betweens. And the way I like to do that, kind of do an example here. Say if you have one dark one, let's say keyframe number 1, keyframe number 2, keyframe number 3, and keyframe number 4. And say this is your timeline, so 1 for keyframe 2, 3, 4. Say you want to do the in-betweens for these. What I like to do is add a keyframe at the start and the end of the in-between. So a keyframe of this first idle would be a slight adjustment. So this would just be a slight, this frame right here, this dot would be a slight adjustment of the idle frame here. And then this dot here would be a slight adjustment to the swing. And if you want to add the actual in between, this would be kind of like the in between. So here it's going to be a big swoosh. So maybe these will just be, so this is there's slight changes on each time, but you could say this is just 3 anticipation frames, so it's kind of like a build up, or it could just be a quick slash. So it depends on what direction we want to go, and then you add kind of like 2 follow through frames to that attack swing. So the in-betweens can kind of work in many different ways, but we'll just go tackle. Hopefully that didn't confuse you too much, but we're kind of deciding, since this video is not all planned out, it's kind of more natural, we're kind of figuring out what direction we want to go. So let's just do that first kind of frame. So I'm going to duplicate this first frame here, and we're just working in between that first keyframe and the second. So let's color code these, so maybe it's a bit easier. So the first keyframe, we'll make it, or we'll just make all the keyframes like a light blue, maybe. First keyframe. Second keyframe. And third and fourth. Oops. And we're basically just working in between these keyframes. So we're going to start between number 1 and 2 keyframe. Ethan says, do you know where you can find references for different attack positions? You could just Google it, or Pinterest always has good references if you just type in attack positions. Attack silhouette positions, perhaps, would be good. But yeah, so let's work in between these keyframes. So this first one's just kind of a quick little shift of that original frame. So that could just be like head goes back a bit, the gun kind of moves up a bit, and then he slashes. So let's just do one now, and then we'll do kind of a follow through of the second frame. Kind of just until we'll build up the frames until we kind of get a better feel for it all. So let's delete the VFX, and we'll do the VFX at the end since they kind of have their own little animation rules. And the follow through will then just be the gun extending a bit more. Maybe the head drops a bit, and the gobbler as well. And we'll animate the kind of sway on the gobbler in the end. And maybe the bag might go up. So now if we kind of play it, you can kind of see it's looking like a slash now. You can see there's just adding 2 frames, you're kind of getting a bit more. So let's go ahead, and it might be such a quick slash, we might not do too many anticipation frames. We can add a couple and see how it is. But let's do another follow through because we know we're going to want to do that. And maybe this follow through is adjusting back, but also down. So the gun kind of, it's following through and then it's coming back. And then it goes down a bit, and maybe the head moves up once. He's starting to move up, and the bag goes down 1 frame. So let's see how that looks. Already looking better. You can tell it's an attack animation. And some games are this quick. Like they just have a quick little slash with barely any anticipations for quick gameplay and such. Which isn't a bad thing. It just depends on the game. And we're just gonna add frames for smoothness and just for our eyes to enjoy. So let's Ashton says you should make animation where it shoots eggs out of its butt. That'd be funny. So let's add some VFX now. So the slash here, it happens so quick, it's big, it catches your eye, but the frames after kind of just, they die so quick. So you can do a couple big lines, and they could be 2 as well if you want. And the thing is, I always do it at the tail end, and it's 2 or 3 frames. So this is the second frame, and then it comes, and we're basically just gonna dissolve these super quick. So just like that. And we might do one more anticipation frame, follow through frame, because it's gonna this from keyframe number 2 to 3 is basically two or three follow through frames is what you want, and then we're going to start the anticipation frames for the overhead swing. So after these follow through, we're going to start building up the anticipation frames for kind of the swing over the head and slam into the ground. So let's see how it looks with those added VFX frames. Not too bad. I don't think I like this one over here. So let's go in and edit it. This one kind of looks too big and out of place. Let's just see with those two. That looks a bit better to me. And I might take away the 2 lines there as well. Looks good, so let's keep adding to it. And we can erase this flappy thing. We don't need it right now. So slices. And now let's do an anticipation frame going up. So we're gonna copy this last follow through. We can delete the VFX. We can actually add maybe one more VFX there. And then we're gonna start raising it. So the gun's gonna come up. Perhaps the gun comes up. Produce, oh, I still have rusty retirement. God. My people are just, you guys haven't played this game? Here, let me switch it to this monitor. You guys haven't played Rusty Retirement? It's just a little idle game that Mr. Morris Games made, my buddy. And it's just a little game, you just plant some props. So let's just plant quick. Get everything up to speed. Like so. Need more cabbage. Do lots of cabbage. And more of this. But yeah, check out Rusty Retirement. It's just, if you're working away, you can just check on it and see them all farming away. But I'll swap that back over to the other monitor. Big Wander. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Kind of makes me want to do an idle game. So yeah, where were we before that popped up? Oh, we're adding the anticipation frame. So now he's going up. Bag might come up. Let's do another anticipation frame. So now there's 2 anticipation frames. And this one will be kind of like it's really building up. We can even try changing the angle a bit. And the head, let's move it up and backward. Or where was it? So 1 up, 1 back. And perhaps the bag actually moves down. And we're gonna do little kind of movement in the body at the end. So the gobbler, the body, the flappy thing, we'll kind of do animations. Those are kind of like the finishing touches that really like make it look super smooth. Like my treehouse and idle game. That's a cool idea. Build a treehouse idle game. I got a couple idle game ideas, kind of like a spin-off of Bullet Bunny. But we'll see. We'll see. So now we have the 2 anticipation frames. So 2 follow-throughs and 2 anticipation frames. And then we're going to hit this ground here. And let's just add a follow-through on this so we can kind of get a feel of it. We'll delete that VFX. And perhaps the gun hits the ground so hard here that this is in the ground. And then it kind of bounces back up. Maybe on an angle. And then actually let's duplicate this. So we did 2. And we'll move this one on an angle. When he follows through, he hits the ground so hard. Maybe even move. Oh no, I made something on the wrong layer. Made some of his head on the gobbler. That's okay. Then it comes up. And perhaps it comes up one more. So let's just see how that looks. Let's see if we got the timing right, and see how it feels. So it doesn't look too bad. And I can go over some things to improve it. Obviously, like the legs and everything kind of look awkward right now, but we have kind of the base. We have the timing, which is very important. It's good to get the timing and the keyframes all sorted out before you start going into these smaller details. So we still got to do the last part, which is kind of like the big gun blast back to the idle position. So let's do that. And then we can start kind of tweaking all the small things that kind of finalize it and make it real polished. And we're actually making decent time. I think, what time is it? We're half an hour in. I think we were a bit slower on the other ones. But yeah, let's keep trucking. So now we have our idle. Let's go through it all. Anticipation frame, which isn't much. Slash, follow through. Starts building up for the big. Missing a lot of body stuff right here. But he starts building through for anticipation. Slams. And then follow through. So let's do the VFX for the slam. You spice it up a bit more. So kind of same thing we did before. Kind of make them tail off real quick. Let's just add one more duplicate frame. So that's just the same frame as before. And John says, good morning. I'm starting out in game dev and learning Aseprite. Your channel has been really helpful in figuring out a workflow. Thank you for watching and supporting. It means a lot. And jumping in the stream means a lot, John. So we'll do some anticipation frames. I mean, some kind of like follow through frames for the VFX. And we can also, let's do another VFX. And let's kind of do some more. Sure, we'll experiment with some stuff. Kind of like a kind of like a wave coming out here. Wave of air particles. And this will be on a different, oops. Didn't do it on a different one. We'll do it on another VFX, so if we don't like it, we can just toggle it off. or delete it. But yeah, this is just going to be a big kind of puff of air that quickly vanishes. So let's check that out. Sweet. We can also experiment with maybe some trailing up here, so you can really see that it was like arcing over his head. Maybe just a couple. Like that, and let's check out how that looks. Sweet. So I think we're in good shape. Still some work to do. So let's connect the last frame, kind of like the blast, and then the dust could also do an inward twirl to mirror the swing. Yeah, that'd be cool. If we can, oh, like a twirl in here. Yeah, that would be. Might delete them, but let's see. Let's just see that one. Comes around. We might need more frames to do a good twirl. Maybe we add that towards the end. So some stuff like the bag and the feet, they're not flowing too good, and the gobbler, of course. But let's just connect these last ones where it lasts. Getting all stuffed up. And let's just, so these are kind of like the setting up for the blast. Where it's going to fire back and then settle into the first position, which is the idle position. So how do we want to make it charge is kind of the idea. Would also be cool to have kind of like this part kind of shoot out, like there's some kind of rope, so it stabs and then it comes back in. Let's do that. That'd be fun. Might be fun. So this frame is kind of like, maybe it's some kind of like magnetic kind of power, not a rope. With a chain would be cool, but I kind of like this kind of vibes with the blue. Maybe we can make it glow or something, and then boom, and then it comes back eventually. So let's just take this idle frame and move it here. I'm gonna steal it. and then it comes back. And then it's going to eventually go to this idle frame. I'm going to just adjust it a bit so it's a bit different than the idle frame. So it shoots out, then eventually it comes back in. And again, we just kind of want to get the motion for this. The one frame to start, pull in, and then maybe a mid frame. And then frame where it kind of hits the gun. And the gun itself kind of forces itself back and then comes back into position like so. So that might have been quick. My throat's not doing too well, but let's keep trucking. Let's see how that looks. Let's see what kind of condition we're in. So we need to exaggerate the shot a bit more. That's what stands out. And that could be easy with just some VFX. Kind of like a blast right here. So let's do kind of like a blast kind of VFX. Not sure how I want it to look. Let's try a sharp blast. Let's just test a sharp blast out quick. And again, we'll make it trail off quickly. Let's see how that looks. More impact. Not at all. Hello. Hey, how's it going? So it's looking okay. It's looking okay. Let's play everything. See how it looks. Sometimes I just kind of stare at it for a while and see how I feel about it. So let's go through it slow. Flash looks good. Yeah, I think it's cool. Um, maybe a chain would be cooler. Let's try a chain. Shouldn't be too hard to switch it all. Turn off the VFX for a second. Let's do... Oops. Chain might be cooler. Let's see how it feels. Longer links on horizontal ones? What do you mean? Like longer ones on these? So instead of 2, do 3? Let's see. Let's see. Well, the middle one. So this guy right here, you want 2 on those? So kind of like that. Is that what you mean? Makes more sense. Like, I don't know. I haven't I haven't looked at a chain link reference yet, but we can try it. I'm down to try whatever. Bez, yo man, what's up? Not too much. What about you? I'll show you what the animation loop looks like in a sec. Let me just get this chain adjusted. My man, just wanted to praise you. Your art is amazing and it's helping me so much to start getting into it. Diego, thank you so much. It means a lot, and thanks for joining the stream. Okay, let's check it out now. Oh, we need the VFX. Okay, VFX. So we could hold the chain a bit more. It looks cool. I dig it, but let's hold the chain position a bit more, I think. So yeah, if you're joining now, we started off by doing the keyframes that were supposed to just be blue, but I guess I messed that up somehow. Change those back to the original. Change this one back. That's a keyframe. And these ones are all kind of follow throughs, and then back to the. So if you're following us now, we start off by making this keyframe. Well, we stole this one from the idol over here. We made a keyframe for the swing. We made another keyframe for the slam, and then we made a keyframe that didn't look like this. It did change, but it was kind of just like a follow through. We knew we wanted a shot, and we made that. And then we kind of started adding slowly, one by one, kind of anticipation frames and follow through frames. So just like after the swing, kind of just little tiny movement, and then started doing anticipation frames as well that were just building up for the big slash, and then added the chain thing, which we just started doing, which is a cool little effect. Cookie says, hey, do you have any advice for keyframes when it comes to a larger character? Tried making some since the beginning of the stream and struggling to do so. Namely, one with a clearly defined limb. So it just, if you're trying to follow along with this stream, Cookie, it's gonna be hard because if you have a character, say your character is like this big and has a body and has legs and arms. That's a bad example, but you get the point. If you have all this, you're gonna be you're just naturally gonna be way behind because you have to make sure all the limbs are looking good in those keyframes. And there's going to be a lot of different frames. Like you're probably going to have a foot, you're going to have a torso, you're going to have legs, like upper leg, like your thighs, and then your shins. They're all going to be, depends on how detailed it is, but you're going to have so much more to move, where this character here, we could get away with quickly just moving his little chicken legs quickly and his head quickly. But my advice would be keyframes with larger is take your time on the silhouette. Don't do the details yet. Just make sure the silhouette looks good on each keyframe before adding the details, and slowly do those in-betweens, the anticipations and follow-throughs, until you get a nice flow. Don't waste your time on details on one keyframe. because you want to make sure the animation itself is smooth before you commit to all those details, which is just time consuming. But yeah, it's going to be tricky. It's the same process as what we're doing here, but it's just the time spent compared to this, because this character is 30 by 22 roughly. So if you're doing a character, say if it's even this size, 45 by 49, and then you get like this size, 67, 70, it's just so much more time consuming. You're probably going to spend an hour doing one keyframe, you know? Like if you were to do the details and stuff. So just do the silhouettes and you can cut a lot of time off of that. But it's a lot more time consuming. Animation, it's like there's tips and tricks, but if you're doing larger scale stuff, it's just time consuming basically. Big Wander says, what are the colored frames? So the colored frames are just like today we just colored these blue to represent the keyframes. And in the idle, when we did the idle animation, these were kind of just the levels. So green was the mid, the head was at the mid level, orange was head was at the high, and blue head was at low. So it was just kind of a way for everyone in on the stream to kind of follow along with the height. Risky says how to match sound effects to the animation. If you're working on a game with sound effects, say you have this sprite in your game engine, and say this is the third frame of the animation. It's different in all game engines, but this is the third frame. You would say when the third frame happens, play this sound. Or if you want it like right before, play it on frame 2. But you just sync it up to that frame. And then when it comes to this frame would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You would play another one. Thanks. It seems that there's a bit more than I could chew. We'll just follow along for now. My character is 38 pixels in height. Yeah, even 38 pixels in height. It's not too much more than this, but it does add a lot more work. Smaller pixels, it's difficult in a way in getting a clear kind of silhouette or like pose or keyframe. It can be harder when it's smaller. It's easier to convey that with a larger sprite, but it takes longer. So there's pros and cons to both. Smaller is quicker, but sometimes you kind of struggle to showcase what you're trying to do with so little pixels. That's why I find like the 20 to 30 range is good, and that's usually what I aim for. But let's keep going. Let's make this play, not all. It'd be cool to add let's do, because here it retracts one, let's do a follow through. So add this, and we're gonna delete that, and we're gonna actually copy all of these and paste it, move everything over. And this is going to be a follow through now. So this chain Actually going to extend it 1 frame, so we're adding a frame and extending it a bit. Oh yeah, that looks tiny bit better. You can see some follow through. It didn't just come back. And I think it would also be cool to spin the gun. Say here, it starts to it spins like this. Then we'll flip this around like that. We'll do this right in the middle. These will there. And then let's say it's this one, it's kind of just adjusting into place. Like so. Okay, let's see how it looks. A little cool detail. My throat's not doing too well, so I'm gonna try to talk less. So let's go ahead and make sure the head and the backpack and everything kind of flows better. We'll start from the beginning. Try the chain dangling thing. Like it starts to dangle, you say? Not a bad idea. Oh yeah, a little loose there. Looks pretty cool. Okay, let's work on the head. Let's smooth everything out, and then we can start working on little details. Slices, goes back, moves up, moves up. Too loose is looking weird. I think it looks fine. It's small details. I don't think we need to spend too much time on that right now. Yeah, I think it looks cool. It's kind of like, yeah, I personally like it too. It looks better than when it was so tight. So where were we? Keep getting sidetracked here. Well, let's fill in the body. So the big slam, let's say the bag comes up and the bag kind of falls. And it comes back up. Let's let's see the bag and the head, see if that's better. Oh, I don't know what I did. I think I didn't finish that leg. Let's work on that leg a bit more. So those look good. And it comes forward. I think we might need to move the legs a bit here. It comes up. And perhaps this one comes back. Oops. And this leg over here comes forward. We'll click on the body. Then it comes slamming down here. Perhaps this one. Yeah, let's see where we're at with the legs now. The last part looks weird. That's it. We can kind of just hide it behind the gun, I think. We don't need that bend. Do we need some head movement on the chain little grab? So blast back, head kind of moves back, with the gobbler, and then adjust, then it hits back, maybe Goes back a bit more. And then it comes into place a tad. And then it moves up. Let's see where we're at. The bag needs some love, I think. Slams over, bag comes down, drops a bit. And then it comes back. Okay, let's see that. So I think we might need to tilt the head a bit on the slam. And the gobbler has no movement at this point, so and the body is, let's smooth out the body. Maybe we'll tilt the head a bit. Because the body, I see a lot of stuff wrong. Ooh. So I'm just kind of lining up the body with the head a bit more. Trying not to talk. My throat's giving me some issues. But that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Oops, I was in the idle frame, so let's see how that looks. And that back side looks way better. So let's do the same, but with the front side. we'll fill in the missing stick. So we see this side a lot less, so it won't make as much of a difference, but let's see. I think that's good. So let's look at his leg. See the legs now. So they switch at one point, and then it's kind of like awkward when they switch back. So maybe we won't switch them. Actually, that looks okay. Maybe we'll move this one in a bit because it's kind of like going with the sword. Boom, and it's up here. And then move it in one. Comes back. They switch. And then original position. Let's see how it looks. And the feet are something in game that it happens so quick that it's hard to see. So let's do the gobbler, because that will add quite a bit to this actually. Let's start with like the mid. And we'll kind of just work our way through it. Like so. make sure you're on the right frame when you're doing it. Thanks for joining, Big Wander. Means a lot. And the gobbler's gonna kind of blast that way. Let's see how the gobbler looks. Kind of did that as quick as I could. One section kind of looks like too quick. So let's go ahead and fix that up. That might look better. Oh yeah. That's a nice little gobble. Little secondary motions can just make it look so smooth. Sweet. Looks really satisfying. Thank you, Cookie. We're in pretty good shape. Other than like fixing up small details here and there, it's not far off. Like you could definitely put this in game and no one would notice any mistakes. Ugh. Let's see all of them together. Copy. Yeah, that looks pretty dope. Could almost like pull an enemy towards you, an uppercut to finish the animation. Pretty cool. chain knife gun. Cool stuff. So my throat is really hurting. So I'm gonna call it the end of the stream. But we still did well with the attack. I would have probably fooled around and messed with some more things if my throat wasn't feeling so crappy. But I will call it. Thank you all. Thank you everyone who joined and stopped in. I'm not going to go over any animations this time just because I can't talk for long portions right now. But thank you everyone for joining, and I'll chat about animations. If you have one in the Discord, just pop in and drop it in the Pixel Chat channel, and I can go over it there. But yes, thank you everyone. It was a good quick stream this time, and I'll catch everyone next time. Bye.